Hello everyone, my name is Phawx. In this video we're going to be talking about the new leaked data for the Asus ROG Allies Z1 Extreme Custom AMD APU. We're going to get into how this really isn't very custom, but there is some consideration here because we don't have all the data that in some ways this could be beneficial for us. We'll touch base more on that later on in the video. But before we get into the different ways that this could be a custom APU, first I want to just kind of have all cards on the table. Prior to the April Fool's joke of the Asus ROG Ally, there was an individual that reached out to me saying that there was a bigger brand making a handheld. And when I asked for more details, I never got any up until the April Fool's joke happened. And then they came back to me and said that was it. And when I asked what chip they were using, they told me it was the 7640U. Ergo, when I heard that, and because at this point now, because I've already revealed the GPD-Win Mini's pricing, at the time, I had already known GPD's pricing schedule for all their different chips. So it made sense for me, based on the rumors that I heard, of where this was going to be priced, especially because they were saying that it was going to be cost competitive. So this was all lining up to me based on all the data that I had at the time that this could technically be true. Now, with the data that we have being the Z1 Extreme, this is, for all intents and purposes, a bog standard 7840U. When we take a look at the data, we do have data from the Aoki Zoe, which basically is the same test. And when you go through and take a look at the differences between the Z1 Extreme versus a 7840U, it basically looks exactly the same. Same base clocks, same cache, same north bridge, same south bridge, same frequency on the GPU, same GPU. Literally everything is the same. So we all knew that this was going to be the case, that it wasn't going to be very custom, or at least I was telling everyone that this wasn't going to be very custom. There are a few different ways that we can look at this. So at the high end, when we're pushing a lot of wattage into this, for all intents and purposes, you really shouldn't expect all that much of a difference, to be honest. However, at the lower end, we might be able to see some better stuff, and I'll touch base on that more in a second. That has to go with another video that I've been just kind of dragging my feet on, trying to make. Anyway, before we get into that, I just want to quickly address pricing on this. So from the data that I had and kind of looking at everything, and what I had understood was that there were effectively going to be two SKUs for the Asus ROG Ally. There is going to be one Asus ROG Ally that has the Z1 processor, which is a 7640U, and a Z1 Extreme, which is a 7840U. And the difference being that the Z1, the 7640U, would have 512 gigs of storage and match the pricing on the Steam Deck, so around $650. And then they would have the Z1 Extreme, which is, it's going to be $900. If they're going to be able to get this more competitively priced, maybe down to $800, that would be very impressive. At the moment, the data that I'm hearing is that there is only one SKU, which is conflicting with previous data that I have. So at this point, I'm really not sure where this is all going. Bottom line here is that I think Asus is very aware that the Steam Deck has already paved the way and did all the marketing data to prove that people are willing to spend $650 on a gaming handheld. Now, let's get into the first case on why or how chip makers can make a custom SoC or a custom chip for a client. This isn't new, and thankfully, historically, we can point to previous data, like especially when we take a look at the Core M3 7Y32. This is a chip that Intel made exclusively for Apple, and this was just the difference between clock speeds, turbo speeds, against the 7Y30. But no customer outside of Apple could get the 7Y32. Likewise, when we take a look at the server end of stuff, when AMD's EPYC started getting in there, their 64-core chip, this is where it really devastated Intel a lot. Because at the time, Intel's best chip was around $26,000, and EPYC's 64-core chip was around $6,000 and was better than Intel's chip. So not only was it like 4 times cheaper, it was better. So a lot of companies were pivoting over to that. Intel didn't like this too much and made a sweetheart deal with Amazon at the time. And I apologize, I tried looking this up, but I can't find the exact chip. I remember looking at it a long time ago where the custom chip for Amazon had no price available to the public. Like it was just omitted. Typically, Intel lists their pricing that they release on the chip. So in this particular regard, what we can see here is that there are instances where chip makers will make a custom chip for a client and lower the price on it, but it will be exclusive to that client. So in this way, even though if the Z1 or the Z1 Extreme is technically a 7640U or a 7840U, just a standard one with nothing really special about it, the thing here to note is that Asus could have gone to AMD and said, look, AMD, gamers are not going to pay top pricing for this. And the pricing that you're giving us on 7840U and 7640U to put in our laptops would make this too expensive for us. So we need a chip that's going to have this but be cheaper. So AMD could make a whiz-biz deal where they're making a category of this new chip that can only go in gaming handhelds and not for laptops, and then give better pricing to a company like Asus. This way, getting their margins better and also being able to hit a price point that has already been established in the market to be something that customers want. So in this regard, this is just a business chip. It is not custom in any way other than it's cheaper for Asus to get, and categorically it cannot go in any laptops. This is kind of devastating for other handheld makers, which is why I had said the other video that I had made, in that categorically all these other companies can only get 7640U or 7840U and are paying higher prices for them. So they are at a disadvantage in multiple ways here. So this is one of the reasons why I made that particular video. The other way that this could be custom, and as we approach higher TDPs, when we take a look at this particular compute benchmark, the OpenCL benchmark between the 7840U and the Z1 Extreme, and they're relatively the same. Aoki Zoe is doing a little bit better. This could just be to any particular reason. Maybe the Aoki Zoe is pushing more power into it. Could be for any reason. The thing here to note is that one way that this could be custom, or at least more custom, insofar the cost part of it can always be included, but another way that AMD could make this more custom is that they could change the SMU side of it, that TDP-wise, things could be different at the lower end. And this is one of the things where, again, I have to make a video on this, and I've been really dragging my feet on this. This is where the Steam Deck really punches far above its weight. When we take a look at benchmarks of like per TDP at lower TDPs, where the Steam Deck is just beating up 6800U at lower TDPs. And this could be also a same situation for 7840U and 7640U, in that we might see the Steam Deck at lower TDPs still competing against these at lower TDPs. Now, perhaps the Z1 and Z1 Extreme have a different SMU, where at lower TDPs they perform better. And there are ways that we get this, and again, I have to make a video on this. So that's another way that this could be a custom APU. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like I'm in the review list for Asus, so I'm not going to be able to evaluate that data until after it comes to retail launch, and then I'm going to have to buy units then. Surprise, surprise, I don't think they liked my video all that much, the first one I made. But that just because they're not going to send me anything, I have to make it clear here. Even if I have to buy something, I'm going to be absolutely fair, and most likely I'm going to like it. My only problem with it, again, is the 120 Hz panel with all the other marketing stuff that they have there. And it's really just about making sure that people are happy with what they got. And it's going to be fantastic for running games at 60 FPS and even 40 FPS. It's going to be super fantastic running there. So that's pretty much it, what we know about the custom Z1 Extreme chip. It's, from all intents and purposes, how we're looking at the data right now, a very bog standard 7840U. It remains to be seen how well this is going to scale below, but once we have more data available to us, we'll be able to report on that. Let me know in the comment section what you think about their Z1 Extreme custom chip. As always, guys, thank you for your time, and thanks for watching.